All right, so welcome everybody to Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors meeting, July 9th, 2024. And we do have a little audio problem with our rear screens. As people can tell, they've been retracted up to the ceiling. Technical issues, so I apologize that the screens with information that you may see during the day, including now, may be a little more difficult to read, but we're unfortunately, technically, we'd have to literally get up in the ceiling, I'm told, to rectify this. So we're going to hold off, for now. And I have asked Chief Andy Murphy to lead us in the pledge. Thank you, Chief. So, before we get started with the meeting here, we've got Supervisor Half is still participating remotely, and so if we can, good morning, Supervisor Half, and she has a little statement to give before we start with our meeting here. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I am participating remotely for just cause, and it's a need related to a physical disability. And also, there is no one here in the home with me at this time, nor should be during the course of the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, very good, and thank you for the explanation. And so, as a board, we need to vote on Supervisor Haas' participation. So if we could do a roll call vote to approve, please. Or do I need a motion for this? I forget.
Chair, I'll move.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Campbell. And so motion by Supervisor Campbell, second by Supervisor Brandon. And are your guys' microphones okay or not? Are we good? Okay. So if we can do the roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Goldenberg?
Aye.
Supervisor Campbell?
Aye.
Supervisor Kirk?
Aye.
Supervisor Half?
Aye.
Supervisor Brandon?
Aye.
Okay, very good. So at this time, we will do oral communications. So as everybody is aware, this is the time for the public to get up and speak on any items that are not on the agenda. Please, I want to stress that, not on the agenda. And when you come up, please understand that you'll have 3 minutes. After 2 minutes, you'll hear an audible tone. The clock's up here that you can keep track of your own progress. And I would just ask, I know that people can get up and say what they would like, but I would ask that people please act respectfully, both to staff as well as members of the audience here. So oral communications is open, and I see a gentleman coming up. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Board of Supervisors and county staff and members of the public. As of 9 o'clock this morning, I sent all of the County Board of Supervisors and several staff a request for public information regarding Tuolumne Road. It's a problem that affects not just District 3, but really all of our districts that you guys have. It's a problem that's extended on far too long without enough information from the board directly to the public. County members are getting more information from press releases by the company that did the work than we are by the county. And I think that's a problem. So have a wonderful day and have a great meeting.
Thank you for your comments. Good morning, welcome.
Hi, good morning. My name is Mystery Bradford, and I have been a resident of Tuolumne County since the 4th grade, and I am now 50. So I am a Tuolumne County veteran. I'm also a single parent, a disabled, and a recovering addict alcoholic. All those things fit in because I fit many criterias of Tuolumne County. I use many of Tuolumne County's services, one being the Tuolumne County Veteran Service Office. That helps so many other people besides Tuolumne County veterans. It helps other communities. It helps outside state people. But the thing that we need to focus on is it helps the rural people in our community, and we really need VSO to be here, and not just to be here, but to be public so we can walk in, because it gives us a place to be safe. As a veteran of mental health issues, I need that safety, and I need you to not take it away or take it out of the budget. I also need the EC to not be disfunded, because we need a safe place to go even if we're not homeless. And I'd like to know what you're doing about all the homeless deaths that have happened in the last month. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. So my name is Pablo. I think many of you know me. And today I'm here speaking just on my behalf, not representing any agency, group, or nonprofit. I'd like to speak on two matters, which is the current sanctioned camping and a larger, more important issue, which has to do with the Homeless Planning Committee. So I just like to start out by saying that I recognize that leadership has a lot of challenges in decision-making, in planning, in how we proceed and kind of organize ideas from stakeholders. But right now we're seeing a major issue in the sanctioned campaign, right? So we have been in a heat warning for the last week. There's 4 different levels from the National Weather Service when we talk about heat. We have a heat outlook, a heat advisory, a heat watch, and a heat warning. We have been in a heat warning for 4 days, and now we're expecting to be in a heat watch, and in some areas still a heat warning. We're seeing some severe heat exhaustion of many homeless individuals in these camping areas, right? We're seeing that people are being taken to the hospital. At least 5 people have gone. We're seeing that there's not enough shade. We know that because of the rules, there's not the ability for people to put up shade. They can't construct, right, structures. So they can't camp under the trees. They're set up to be just in the sun all day. And I understand that there's cooling centers, but as it has been brought to the attention of the Homeless Planning Committee, people who are in this situation are not able to make it to those centers, right? They can't just take their stuff and go. They don't have the transportation. They don't have the energy. They don't have the able bodies to do that. And when we put people in this kind of situation, we're setting them to fail. We're seeing that there's a heavy burden on their bodies. There is a lack of accountability, a lack of even just general humanity, right? Like, people should not be in these kinds of situations. And all of this, I think, stems from a larger issue with the Homeless Planning Committee. And that larger issue is that you have assembled subject matter experts, you have people with incredible backgrounds, and then you're not listening to them. When certain questions are brought up about the planning, when we're seeing there's oversights, when we see that there's things that we can prevent, and those questions are ignored, or those questions are pushed back, or it's met with, well, it doesn't really matter, or, oh, maybe, yeah, it could be an issue, but we just need to be positive, right? It's not about positivity. It's that if you're going to assemble experts, you have to listen to them, right? You're expecting other groups like churches and nonprofits to pick up the slack, and that's not how it should work. The county was the one that received the monies and the funding for these kinds of programs, right? The accountability is with the county and those decision makers. So that's a major issue. And I understand that people feel attacked when questions are brought up, right? But honestly, fuck how you feel, because people's health is far more important than people's feelings. And that's what we're seeing, right? We're seeing issues at those camps. So if
Excuse
you're
me,
people's health,
I'm not sure if I just heard what I thought I heard as far as language. There's no call for that.
sir, in all,
Okay, no, that's fine. It's not called for.
okay,
Okay,
it's my amendment
continue.
protection, but thank
You
for-
can continue your sentence. I
Okay,
interrupted
can I
you.
finish? Yeah, my 10 seconds? Thank you. So, sorry, for my last 10 seconds, I was just saying is we need to help develop policies that protect people, and that's what matters. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Ann Leonard, and I'm also here to talk about the homeless situation. First of all, I was very pleased when I read that you had chosen a place by the Justice Center. I think that was a very wise decision. I know you had tried to find places on many occasions and often got negative feedback from people who live near those areas. So I think the area near the Justice Center was a very wise one, especially since there's transportation there. I did hear something disturbing last week, or I guess it was last week, saying that the homeless people were told that they had to move all of their belongings and their camps out of the shade into the gravel, onto the gravel on a day that was going to be 100 degrees. I went out there to see if it was true. I didn't want to just accept a rumor. And I found that the people were in a panic because they had been told if they didn't move all of their belongings onto the concrete, by the end of the day, their belongings would all be confiscated and thrown away. People were crying. People were very upset. Many of them have pets, and they love their pets. Pets can help people feel loved and sane. So I called a couple of supervisors and said, this is the situation. These people, if they're forced to get out from under the shade into the sun, you may have some deaths here. One of the supervisors called the city administrator, and that was put on pause. I would like to ask that remain on pause until after degrees are consistently under 90 degrees, which is a safe cutoff temperature for people who are older. And many people in this camp are older people. The second thing is put up some security cameras. People there don't feel secure, especially women, especially at night. It would not be a big investment. Consider putting up 2 or 3 kennels so people can have a place to put their dogs when they have to go to medical appointments or go buy food. Just a few things that might make it more humane. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll make a brief comment that I'm aware of the situation with that site, and I know that staff is in the process of doing other remediation efforts, including bringing some pop-up shelter type of shade to the site. So we do recognize that there was some concerns there. Yes, ma'am, please go ahead.
Hi, you guys all know me. I'm Jennifer Salazar. I've been volunteering over at the Sanction Camp. I've been there every day throughout the heat wave. Yesterday, I became the 6th person to go to the ER from heat exhaustion from the camp. I actually got heat exhaustion earlier in the week. I got out of the ER about 3 o'clock this morning, and I decided I needed to come here. People in the camp pretty much saved my life. I mean, I was in a pretty bad state, and they batted for me the same way that I will always bat for them. And where they're living right now is hell. It is so hot there. It's miserable. I mean, I can't imagine any of you guys trying to imagine surviving in that. Even in the shade, it's terrible. You know, and like my eyes were burning from the reflection from that gravel. Like my eyes are literally sunburned from that gravel just reflecting so strongly in my eyes. I mean, this place is, it's so inhumane that people are put there, and I'm just so disappointed that the county decided to, make people move. Those signs, I feel, were not even legally posted. You know, when they said, you need to move, it didn't say why they needed to move. It didn't say that was like a, private property area or they would be, trespassed in that area. They just threatened to violate them for trespassing. I know that I've heard that it's a voluntary place to go. However, with the camps being shut down and people being forced there, I'm not sure how that's voluntary. I just think that it was poorly planned. It needed to have more. I mean, there's no water that's been, the county has had, I believe it's 2 gallons per week per person, but I looked it up and people need about 4 gallons in this heat to survive. I've been collecting donations from the community. Fortunately, we have a very wonderful community, and they've been bringing in water and ice, and if it wasn't for them, these people would probably be dead. I think you guys need to really consider what you're doing. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And I'll make one additional comment is that The people, as this site was being prepared to open up, the people were given advance notice. They were told specifically why. In some areas was because where the camping was in watershed areas, where there was problems that could go into waterways. So it was not done without thought in that regard. And I just want to make that comment that people did get notice, ahead of time. There's other issues, I admit that. There's things that we're working through at the county level and will continue to do so, but it was not done without thought. So, anybody else that would like to speak?
I'm John Flynn, your political watchdog. Take a bite out of crime. Good morning to the Republic of California, 1850, and Tuolumne County. I don't have time to insult you. I have a lot to say. The last two speakers, the school teacher and the young lady who just spoke, your answer is in the Bill of Rights. If you have problems, study the Constitution. The Bill of Rights, 1791. That's a freebie from me. That's all I have to say. All right. Jarrett Brandon, you stated on June 4th, after I criticized Sheriff Vasquez as being a male chauvinist pig, and you said I had no right to exercise my First Amendment right here. And you said I criticized your employees. Please tell me, after I'm talking, I would like the name of the company you work for or the business that you work, that I cannot criticize anybody on this boardroom. I even criticized Sarah Jean Corella. She and I don't like each other. That's okay. But I called her. She's out she's a frog sitting on a log, allowing and not defending reprimanding you or David Goldenberg and doing nothing. She didn't do anything. That's wrong. Gregory Oliver would have stood up for me. And Cody Napster, lawyer, county lawyer. This is John Flynn. I have a California Public Records request. I would like Jarrett Brent to get the name of the company he works for, that I have to talk to him. I have a right to speak. And you said I had no right to speak here. I want the name of the company he works for. Email me. You have my email address. And I also want Sheriff Vasquez. He says he's in charge. He'll decide who's going to get prosecuted. If somebody's under the influence, I want his state bar license also sent to me. All right, next subject. Ty Robin, Mr. Robin has informed me to notify you that he is going to put a lien on all your personal property in all county buildings. And that's legal. If you want to counter him, you have to go through the federal courts. He's contemplating going through Army JAG or Navy JAG, which is military, because it has to do with your oath of office. And he has a legal right to do that. There's multiple ways to come after you over the violation of your oath of office. Now, U.S. Supreme Court ruling Gonzalez versus Castle Hill, Texas, IJ.org represented Sylvia Gonzalez, and they ruled on June 22nd, 2024, 9-0. Anybody can criticize the board. Anybody, Mike Holland comes in and he criticizes Jar Brandon next year. You can't retaliate against him. You can't retaliate against me or anybody else for using on freedom of speech. There are severe consequences. That's what it states. Legal department, look into that one. Loyalty oath. Cole versus Richardson 405 U.S. 676 is unassailable. Thank you.
No, let's leave it. Okay, Supervisor Brandon, go ahead with a brief comment, please.
Great, thank you. I only just wanted to provide a comment that people have the right to speak, and I would never say you don't have the right to speak at the board. But what I said was that there is a difference in being respectful and calling our sheriff all of these names and making impressions of him. That's out of line as far as a respectful expression of free speech. So you have the right to free speech, but maybe you should think about, too, the people of this community, serve this community, and being respectful in that. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any additional oral communications? Good morning.
Good morning. From my own personal viewpoint, when people are up here making public comments, I think you all should be quiet. and just allow them to say what they have to say. I want to thank our grand jury. Our grand jury reports are out. I was pretty impressed that it was very matter-of-fact and succinct without a lot of whining and carrying on. So I was pretty impressed, and I'm sorry that our local media hasn't picked up on this yet. And I want to thank our OES for opening cooling centers. Even though they didn't have a huge population, they took the time out of their personal life to open these up. And I think more people in the community should maybe use their own resources and step up to help out, such as some of our churches and stuff, because OES has a lot of requirements regarding how they run a cooling center. And we apparently have this official political watchdog in Tuolumne County. So I would like to see our political watchdog actually do some political watchdogging. So I don't know if anybody bothered to notice in the budget, I didn't hear any conversation, but we were always assured that there would be no general fund monies spent on resiliency centers. Yet if anyone actually looked at the budget, you're going to spend almost $250,000 next year supporting the resiliency centers. And then I also have a concern that someone associated with the county administration is using their professional capacity to attack a department staff member in a department not related in a rather orchestrated and disparaging manner. So I was pretty offended by this, and I went to Human Resources and asked if that's the acceptable way in the county that we would deal with issues. And I was assured that it was not. And I'm concerned about the management team of this department staff employee being threatened with some budgetary retaliations over certain activities. So if this is actually going on at this level, then I think there needs to be an investigation. And if someone is actually indulging in this kind of behavior, they should be fired. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment, oral communications? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to staff reports. So now would be the time for staff members to come up and give a brief report on what's going on in their areas. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Board. Michael Roberson, Assistant Director of General Services Agency, and here today acting on a capital project to report out to you on the sanctioned camping program with Annie Hockett, who is the Director of Health and Human Service Agency. Earlier this year, your board considered a proposal to develop a sanctioned camping program at the recommendation, the unanimous recommendation of the Homelessness Committee. After a bunch of months of committee work and subcommittee work, we brought this recommendation to your board for the sanctioned camping program that was really meant to be a pretty primitive program. Limited management, limited services, that was the direction we got from your board. Over the last month, Homeless Services has been working with Public Works and Roads and various community groups to develop the sanctioned camping program site on Justice Center Drive. On May 31st, a designated and allowable camping area was established as a temporary location while the site was under development. So where people were living, we had to ask them to move over just adjacent to that facility, to that location, so that we could make room for equipment to come in, remove some trees, grade a road for emergency access, those kinds of things. The site has been developed to include rocked and rolled emergency access roads, both tents and RV sites, portable toilets, and garbage dumpsters. Water is currently being delivered by social services staff. This morning I was there. We have 61-gallon jugs of water available. Some people politely declined, other people said yes, and social services team is on site now to make sure that people who want water can have it. Future development considerations are a shade awning, picnic tables, and the possibility of a connection to TUD water service to provide for more regular water supply. The site has been developed and will operate on funds from the Encampment Resolution Grant, and no general funds money have been used or will be used in the future. On June 28th, a team of staff that included Department of Social Services, the Sheriff's Office, and me was on site at the sanctioned camp to let people know that the developed site is now open and that all campers must be in the newly developed location by Tuesday, July 2nd, so 5 days later. However, currently we are not enforcing that move because of the heat that we're dealing with. So there are people in both the sanctioned area and the non-permitted area. And again, this location was determined in part at the recommendation of a whole group of staff, including the sheriff, but also as a part of the CEQA review. So it's not like anyone can just go camp anywhere, but it's also true that this is not a mandatory program. Like, nobody is there under duress. They're there voluntarily, and if it doesn't meet their needs, then they can move off-site. We had water and garbage bags that day on hand, as well as a trash pickup company who was willing to take what campers were willing to give up. And we also handed out the list of expectations and rules, and Sheriff Vasquez and his team have been very helpful and supportive in implementing this initiative, for which we are very grateful. Their support has meant a lot to us, kept people safe. They're out there being encouraging and supportive, as well as enforcing the law and doing what he said that he would do from the very beginning of this initiative. So that's the development side of this. Annie is here to discuss more of the social services and service provision side of things.
All right, good morning. Again, Annie Hockett, Health and Human Services Agency Director. As Michael mentioned, our team has been right alongside Michael in the development and preparation for this site opening. We did do some early outreach to that specific location to, as Michael said, make sure people knew it was becoming close to being opening. And also, obviously, to try to engage folks into services, those that would be willing to participate in a case plan. To date, we have had a total of 7 individuals from that specific location that have been willing to work with the social service team and comply with a case plan, and in turn, we've been able to provide temporary hotel vouchers for those individuals. Aside from this site, we've obviously been doing additional outreach in other encampments in the community. We've had a total of 22 individuals that have been, again, willing to work with us towards those barriers to housing through case management and case planning. In terms of ongoing engagement, we're seeing about 50% of those individuals that remain working with us and in compliance with their case plan, and about 50% that are not willing to do that and therefore have been exited from the program. Aside from outreach, you heard Michael talk about water service. So week 1, we delivered approximately 10 gallons of water. We did also have individuals that declined that, indicating they were not interested in any type of service, including water. Week 2, we had approximately 20 gallons delivered. And then, as you heard Michael mention, today was 60 gallons that were delivered. This did happen right at the time when we experienced a significant heat event, so we tried to be sensitive to that. We wanted to make sure that those in the encampment knew where those cooling centers were, knew how to access those in terms of bus routes and available just resources. Also would like to just kind of give a shout out to our behavioral health team and volunteers there who worked really hard to extend the EC hours and also offer the Lambert Center as a potential spot for our unsheltered to access services. Lastly, we continue to work on getting community-based organizations to be willing to visit the site. We have quite a good response so far. Some have already been going out there regularly and offering services, and we have a number of others that are interested but just need a little bit more time to get prepared. The goal is not to police who can come out there and who is able to visit the site to deliver resources. We're just trying to coordinate so that we have a strong presence there. And I think that's it, unless I forgot anything.
So when your board gave approval for the program, it was for a 12-month pilot program?
One moment, please. I had a question of Andy real quick. Sorry. So you mentioned the amount of people, I think you said 7 that had received some services. So for the remaining people on site, just want to confirm, they still have the ability to reach out? And do you have staff that are out there every day, or, how would they reach out?
We are visiting the site weekly. We are coordinating that with the water delivery so that we can be a resource in that regard. And I would say that what we've seen is that people are starting to warm up to our visits, and so I hope that the more we're out there and the more they see we're there truly to help and to engage in services, that participation rate will grow. That's the goal. But yeah, we're there regularly, and then people know that they can certainly call our office, and we're there to help if we can.
Very good. Thank you. Go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
Interruption.
Yeah.
Just want to say that we all agreed at the beginning, at your board's direction, that this would be a 12-month pilot program, and we are trying to be very responsive. We've only been open for a couple of weeks, and as Annie mentioned, we opened during a heat event here in the county and across the whole region. And so we are listening, we are responding, we have plans for sort of pivoting and adjusting. It's just things take more time sometimes than we would want them to take. And also, we sometimes think we need to provide something that some of the people there are telling us they're not going to engage in. So we're trying to weigh sort of the opportunity costs for this too. Like if we do move forward and develop some of these things, will people take advantage of it, or are they going to even be in that sanctioned camping area once there's rules and that are being enforced and those kinds of things. So we want you to know that we hear and read of the concerns in the community. In some ways, I disagree with the perspective that I'm hearing. In other ways, I embrace it, and we are trying to be responsive. And I will vouch for Annie and her team in terms of the services part of it, not the development of the site part of it, the capital part. What they're doing is making a big difference. We are seeing people come into services, so I'm thankful for their presence out there as well.
Thank you. Additional staff reports. Are you guys sorted out here? Good morning.
Good morning, Board. Lendy Groot, IT Project Manager for Broadband. I'm here to give you an update on the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, also known as BEAD, and ask for the public's help. Last week, the California Public Utilities Commission released funding data for the BEAD program. It suggests that the county could see between $5 to $10 million allocated towards projects in this area. We believe that that is inaccurate and that there are thousands of locations that are deemed served that are not, or funded that are not. So the BEAD challenge process opened up yesterday. That provides us an opportunity to try to challenge some of these locations and potentially add tens of millions of dollars to funding. So we're working very hard on that, and the public can help by testing their service. I created a website called tcspeedtest.com that walks them through the speed testing process and collects all their information and sort of explains the process to them as it goes through. So any help we can get on that would be really greatly appreciated. We're working on a Facebook campaign, some social campaigns. I'll have some share images later today that I'll spread around. So if anybody could also use their networks and sort of share this information, that would be really terrific. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Dory Beats, Office of Emergency Services. 2 quick updates. Yesterday, we did issue another press release with all of the locations of places to get cool this week. There is reprieve on Sunday. It's going to be in the 90s, so we're excited about that, but we understand there are a lot of folks definitely that are affected. I do want to note, we just found out this morning that the Enrichment Center is closed, unfortunately, due to some flooding in that building. So we just found out just literally moments ago about that. So apologies, we did reissue out our press release noting that to the public. We also have copies here for everyone that's in the room. Secondly, last Tuesday, the Tuolumne County Office of Emergency Services was made aware of suspicious phone calls from individuals posing as either the Tuolumne County Office of Emergency Services or California OES. These individuals were asking information regarding emergency alert notification system and wanted to verify personal information. That afternoon, we were made aware that Listos California, a program under Cal OES, a third-party contractor, was mobilized teams in different communities throughout the state to encourage and make personal calls regarding emergency alerts and preparedness plans. Tuolumne County OES was not notified of this prior to, and that is why we took calls from concerned citizens as serious. The information they received was from voter registration system, not Tuolumne County OES, nor did they get it from our emergency alert notification system. We are thankful that nothing was compromised. As a reminder, we promote everyone signing up for our emergency alert system. We will never call you directly asking to verify any information in our system. Tuolumne County OES will only ask you questions regarding your notification record upon your request. We do not call random residents asking them for personal information. Any official communication will come from our main office, 209-533-6395. And again, if you have not signed up for emergency alerts, please do so by going to our county webpage. At the top banner, it says emergency alerts. Please accept our apologies for causing any fear about your personal information. The state of California has been contacted, and we have requested that any communication in the future prior to any similar action goes through our office so that we may pass that information to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning. I'm Kelly Schroeder, your Tuolumne County Air Pollution Control Officer. And I'd like to give you an update that we had held, the Air Pollution Control District had held 4 green waste days in May and June, and we saved the residents of Tuolumne County $28,376 in green waste disposal. Thank you.
And thank you for offering that service through your program. Good morning.
Good morning, Board. Robbie Bergstrom, Tuolumne County Economic Development. Just want to give a quick mention and a thank you to everyone that attended the Economic Development Community Meeting in Soulsbyville on June 27th, and thank Supervisor Campbell for helping facilitate that meeting. It was great to hear what they believe will bring economic development to the area. A summary of that meeting, as well as all the other comments that were made prior to that, will be included in a summary that I will be issuing shortly. Another meeting for the Columbia area will be scheduled shortly, and that will be a community-wide meeting where anyone really can attend. But of course, primarily it's encouraged of people in the area, in the Columbia area, to visit, where they can also have a similar discussion about economic development. And finally, I'd like to thank the Farm Bureau for allowing me to come to their meeting last night and talk to them about economic development and some issues going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello again.
Good morning again. Annie Hockett, Health and Human Services Agency Director. I'm here today to let the board and the public know that the 3rd Annual Community Roots Resource Fair will be happening on Wednesday, August 14th from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Motherlode Fairgrounds. Currently, Health and Human Services Agency manages a year-round Community Roots hotline, which serves to link individuals in need of services with the various organizations available within Tuolumne County. The resource fair operates in tandem with the hotline and provides an opportunity for community members to meet service providers in person and also continue to learn about the services available locally. The hotline and the resource fair were both implemented in 2022 at a time that social services was seeing an unprecedented need for services. The surge resulted in many individuals needing to seek services for the very first time. As incomes reduced and the cost of living increased, the overall stress within family systems resulted in many people needing the support of community services to make ends meet. Unfortunately, we see that need continue to grow, making the Community Roots Resource Fair more timely than ever. This event would not be possible without the support of the Sonora Area Foundation. Also would like to thank Sierra Bible Church, ADCA, and the Tuolumne Resiliency Coalition for their support of this year's event. If you're a vendor, there is still time to sign up to attend. The registration window for that will close this Friday, and so if people are interested, they can go to the website, the Community Roots website, and sign up. We are anticipating a full house with over 50 vendors planning on being there. We invite all community members who may be interested in learning about the available services for either themselves, their family members, friends, or others that they care about to come out and attend the event. It is free of charge. We will offer food, drink, Kona Ice, and lots of valuable information on resources available. I have some flyers in the back. They look like this. If anybody has any questions, I'll be here for the remainder of the meeting and could be happy to answer that.
Very good, thank you. Looks to be an excellent event this upcoming. Okay, any additional staff reports? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. I'll look to the board. Does any member of the board want to pull an item off of consent?
Yeah, I wanted to pull number 10, and then I have a comment on 14.
Okay, so pull 10 and comment. And any other board members, Supervisor Half, any pulls in particular?
No, I don't have anything to pull. Thank you.
Okay, so I would ask for our clerk to go ahead and read the consent calendar with the exception of number 10, which is pulled for discussion after.
Item number 1, approving the minutes of the June 18th, 2024 meeting. Item number 2, waiving the first reading of an ordinance correcting a clerical error in Section 1 of Ordinance 3454, adopted by the Board of Supervisors on March 19th, 2024, and setting a second reading for adoption on July 23rd, 2024. Item number 3, adopting Resolution 5424, extending the abandoned vehicle abatement fee program until June 30th, 2025, or 35. Item number 4, approving an agreement between the Tuolumne County Health and Human Services Agency and Amador Tuolumne Community Action Agency for housing-related case management and rapid rehousing services in the amount not to exceed $180,000 for the period of January 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2027, and authorizing the county administrator to sign all related documents. Item number 5, determining there's a need to continue the emergency actions ordered by the county administrative officer as a result of a series of storms from February 2023 through March 2023, pursuant to Public Contract Code 22050 and TCOC 3.22.060, 4/5 vote required. Item number 6, determining there's no need to continue the emergency actions ordered by the county administrative officer as a result of a severe storm on or about March 1st, 2024, pursuant to the Public Contract Code 22050 and TCOC 3.22.060, 4/5 vote required. Item number 7, approving the Tuolumne County Veterans Service Office to enter into grant agreements with the California Department of Veterans Affairs for Mental Health Services Act funding in the amount of $45,000 fiscal year 2024-2025 and fiscal year 2025-2026, and authorize the county administrator to sign all grant-related documents. Item number 8, approving amendment number 3 to the ambulance services agreement with Manteca District Ambulance, increasing the contract amount by $324,867, included the fiscal year 2024-2025 recommended budget. Item number 9, number 1, waiving the second reading and adopting an ordinance adding Chapter 3.29 of the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code, imposing a 1% general transaction and use tax, sales tax, in the unincorporated areas of Tuolumne County, subject to voter approval and expiring after 20 years. Number 2, adopting Resolution 5524, calling an election to submit to voters of Tuolumne County the proposed sales tax and ordering the election to be consolidated with a statewide general election scheduled for November 5th, 2024. And number 3, adopting Resolution 5624, calling an election to submit to voters of Tuolumne County for an advisory ballot measure for November 5th, 2024 ballot. Number 4, approving the argument in favor of the advisory ballot measure. Item number 11, accepting the resignation of Linda Emerson from Tuolumne County Planning Commission and directing the clerk of the board to post a notice of vacancy and send a letter of appreciation. Item number 12, recognizing $10,000 in unanticipated revenue from Sonora Area Foundation. grant to purchase rope rescue equipment, increasing appropriations in the county fire budget by $10,000, and authorizing the county administrator to sign all related documents. 4/5 vote required. Item number 13, approving amendment number 1 to the professional services agreement with Tony Salazar, extending the term until August 16th, 2024, and increasing compensation not to exceed $117,500 for interim indigent defense services for felony cases in the Office of the Public Defender. Item number 14, approving the notice of completion for contract number 1769A, Tuolumne Road North Storm Damage Repair Project, Phase 1, and authorize the chair to sign. Item number 15, approving Resolution 5724, authorizing the Public Works Director for designee to submit individual and regional applications to Cal Recycle for grants and payment programs. Item number 16, approving the appointment of Susan Munsell to the Carter Cemetery District with a term to expire on February 13th, 2028. Item number 17, adopting Resolution 5824, authorizing the Elections Office to print the list of supporters and opponents for local measures on the county ballot. And item number 18, as a Air Pollution Control Board, setting a hearing date of August 20th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. to review and receive comments on the Air Pollution Control District fiscal year 24-25 budget.
Well, thank you very much. Quite a number to read there. So looking to the board, I heard a couple of supervisors, I think, express that they wanted to make comments. We'll start with Supervisor Half. Do you have any comments that you would like to make on the consent?
No, thank you.
Okay. And Supervisor Kirk, I believe you mentioned you had a comment.
Yeah, I gotta push this button. Yeah, actually 2 comments. Number 1, or actually number 14 on Tuolumne Road. I know this has been a long time coming, so thank you, Blossom and staff, for getting us to phase 1. And the question I asked Blossom offline was, how is this going to hold for the winter? It should hold for the winter so that we can get to phase 2 next year, hopefully. So good to know that that's coming. And then the other thing, it caught my attention, I forgot to write down, but Susan Munsell on the Carter Cemetery District, she lost her granddaughter a couple years ago in a car accident, and the community was hit pretty hard by it. And I just think it's really special that she's going to be spending time at that cemetery with her granddaughter, who's laid to rest there. I went there a few weeks ago, Supervisor Campbell, and it's just a beautiful cemetery. And I think it's beautiful because people like her have vested interest in keeping that place beautiful. So thank you, Susan, for spending time there.
Supervisor Brandon, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to also say thank you to Public Works. We each have these in all of our districts, and I know that it's been an area of a lot of focus from Supervisor Kirk, and we've been happy to support trying to address that. I wanted to say thank you to Linda Emerson, who is now more than happily retired and loves to bring it up all the time with it. She's spent a lot of time with the Tuolumne County Planning Commission while working a job, while being a business consultant, and I think did a good job on there. So I appreciate her service. That's 3 years of a lot of very technical, very difficult meetings. But as mentioned, the notice of vacancy will be out there. I do have a few people in mind that I'm talking to, but I encourage anybody considering, if you live within District 5, to please reach out to me. I'd be interested in talking to you. So thank you.
Supervisor Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. And I just wanted to agree with Supervisor Brandon on Linda Emerson. I may or may not have tried to talk her out of resigning, but I'm glad to see that she will be spending some much-needed time in retirement. And thank her for her service to the community.
Very good. Well, I'll also mention her as well and thank her for her service. But I do understand that she just got on the Sonora City Planning Council the last session on July 1st. So she's not totally out of the game yet here. So, and the other one I just wanted to make a brief comment on, it, just number 3. Glad to see that, you know, this is extending the abandoned vehicle program, and we've got a lot of issues in the county and need to work on those types of things as it comes. So at this point, I'll look for a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, public comment. regarding any items on the consent calendar. Yes, ma'am. Please come up.
Hello. I just have a comment on number 2, just because I was confused. It didn't make sense to me. It refers to things that are in section 1706020, but it actually looks like it should have been 1708020. Is this another typo? And why are we doing a ordinance code update to do combining districts when 1708020 already has those capacities in it? I'm confused about the whole thing, so I was hoping maybe somebody could explain. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I don't have an answer to that, but I'll look to staff if we have a staff member that can explain that. No, I don't see Quincy.
Supervisors, my understanding is this was a zone change, so it's just simply correcting an error that happened with a specific zone change. It's not about the entire ordinance code. And so when we do zone changes, we do uncodified code changes. So that's why this is different than like a regular ordinance change.
Okay, and thank you for that. Any additional public comment on consent items? Only at this point.
My name is Randy Hanvelt, citizen of Tuolumne County, but you know that. I felt compelled to come and make one last comment about item 9. You guys know that that's not going to work. It's not going to pass. No one's going to pay for more taxes. They're inundated with it. The reason item 9 is even being considered is because you didn't do your job in the first place. You didn't bite the bullet and make the tough decisions. When it fails, you're going to have to do that. Some of you are going to have to do that. And I suggest you start working on Plan B now, because it's going to be tough. It's going to be brutal. I know that. But you guys need to understand what it is to manage money. You set this up. You spent money inappropriately and perpetuated and added to the conflict. The county will go bankrupt under the and this isn't going to pass. What are you going to do about it? And I think you're a little disingenuous with your argument in favor of this thing, because you aren't telling the whole thing. In fact, generated the reasons why this is even there. This is a typical government thing. You know, we get ourselves in trouble. We did it to ourselves. But now you bail us out. You public, give us some more money. It isn't going to work this time. It doesn't work before. And then you put it as a general tax increase. I commented about this before. And that means it isn't going to go for the things that you would like it in the ultimate end, because you won't be there to do it. People spend it any way they want, and they'll come back and ask for more. So I think that's the reason why it won't pass. And and you hold hostage the dear to us, the things that government exists to do for us, things like law enforcement, fire protection, and roads. And you're responsible for this. You are coping with this. Oh, grin all you want, Mr. Brandon. You're one of the big proponents of spending money and things like that. So, okay, do what you want. And then, by the way, item, what is it, 17, I think it is? Limiting is put on the thing in terms of who supports or opposes. We're controlling information again. Public needs to know, and you're censoring. Not a good plan. Thanks.
I'll just make a brief comment to that, being as brought up boards. This board has been very proactive in meeting the needs of law enforcement. But prior to this board, previous boards made decisions without having fully established the funding for them in the future. So we're reacting to that and doing what we can to support our community. Yes, ma'am.
Once again, Mystery Bradford. I was wondering if you could explain to me why you pulled number 10.
Okay, number 10 was not pulled, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry. So we'll speak on that after. Right now, we're speaking on, but number 10. Yeah, no, we'll get to that in a moment, ma'am. You're quite correct. We'll discuss that. Yes, sir.
I'm just looking on item 17, where I just wanted to know if this applies to the voter's guide as well as the ballot. I'm hoping that it does not, that we will see comments for and against that will be visible to the public. Just wanted to confirm that.
We have somebody coming up behind you right now that...
Just to clear, number 17, this is something new that the legislators have put on. 31 of the 58 counties as of April is doing what you're doing and saying do not print the names of the proponents and opponents of a measure, mainly because this will make the ballot itself very cumbersome to work with and very, very lengthy. Mr. Crosby, I guarantee every voter's guide there will be the letters in favor of and the letters against. We will actually have those on our website also. We will try and get everything that we can so that they are informed. Putting people's name on the ballot right under the message for the vote for the ballot is just really going to make it very, very confusing to the public. So the people who are in favor and the people who are against will have their names in the voter guides.
Okay, thank you. All right, any additional public comment on consent calendar minus number 10? All right, so motion to approve the consent calendar without number 10.
So moved.
I have a motion by Supervisor Brandon.
I'll second.
Second by Supervisor Campbell. And if we could get a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Goldenberg.
Aye.
Supervisor Campbell.
Aye.
Supervisor Kirk.
Aye.
Supervisor Haff. And Supervisor Brandon.
Aye.
All right, if I can have the clerk please read consent item number 10.
Item number 10, applications for the Railbed Road Behavioral Health Housing Deck Replacement Project.
Okay, Supervisor Kirk.
Yeah,
this to be pulled.
I can be short and to the point. I looked at it. I get that things are expensive, but when it came out to like $100 per square foot, 4 weeks to build. I don't know if they got a crew of 20 people, but I think we should do the informal bidding process for this, see where we come out as far as costs. I know the money is going to be paid for through, homeless monies, but that's still taxpayer dollars. And I just think we should go back to an informal bid first and see where we land. So that would be my recommendation, and I look for 2 people to support. Otherwise, that's it. But I wanted to pull that separately and vote on that separately.
Okay. Supervisors, comments on item 10. Any comments, Supervisor Haff?
Yes. I'd like a little more explanation from as to why that's important to do. Just a little more background information for myself and for the public. Thank you.
I've built 2 homes. I've done an addition recently. I know what it costs per square foot to do a home, and $100 a square foot for a deck just seems ridiculous to me when you could probably build a home for around $220 a square foot, higher end 300 square foot. So I'm just doing the math in my head. And I know it's government and everything's, much more expensive, but I don't see why we don't just do the informal bids, come back, see where the numbers are at, and if we're over that $200 threshold, then do that process. So, sorry.
Thank you.
I get numbers in my brain and I speak up.
Supervisor.
I appreciate it. I know we've talked about some of the behavioral stuff before. I wanted to invite our behavioral health director, if he might be able to come up and just present a little bit about the process and requirements going into this, or Michael. I'm not sure who's handling capital project. It keeps switching.
Not wanting to prevent Tammy from speaking, but in terms of this being a capital project, again, Michael Roberson, Assistant Director Agency, and I'm working in collaboration with Mo Frank on this project. In the event that this comes back, we don't know what the costs are going to be, but if it comes back with costs higher than $190, we have to come before your board for approval on plans and specs and authority to go out for bid. And what we were trying to do, because this project has been delayed time and time again, now that Mo and I have inherited a whole bunch of projects, we're trying to expedite the process. So in the event that this ends up booking out at a higher expense, we wanted to put all of our ducks in a row on the front side of this. Again, this is it could be more than $199,000 because of the elevation of the deck. We've already downsized the deck from an earlier iteration and proposed plans, but also to be in compliance with Title II ADA compliance, then it and different foundational supports, and that could be more expensive. And again, doing sort of private contracting is very different than government contracting when you consider prevailing wage. So we believe under the $200,000 threshold, but in the event that it doesn't, we didn't want to have to come back and start the whole process over again.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say with this, so this is a property that some of the neighbors do call in about mentioning yard maintenance and building maintenance. I know we pride ourselves as best we can in trying to be a good neighbor. We're seeing other properties come up. So just considering that on the one side, the ADA, I think, absolutely would increase the cost a huge amount. And then the last bit is my understanding with Prop 1 is anything above the fund balance that's been now set with the state potentially would be returned. And we do not want to, speaking commonly, give the state a dime. We want to make sure that we're investing in the capital stuff right now. And so if we can spend something on a little higher quality product and not have that return, that to me is advantageous. So just my opinion on it. Appreciate the opportunity to pull it up there and discuss. But I know that the neighbors in that neighborhood would certainly appreciate having this fixed.
Okay. I don't have any further comment. Look for public comment on this item, please. Item number 10 regarding the housing deck. Good morning. Please come up to the microphone there. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Mystery Bradford again, and I have many friends that live at Cabrini House, and some of them have lived there a while, and they do the best they can. They're setting up, but the more you put off fixing the things that they need to have an adequate life to make their surroundings livable and make the neighbors happy, for us to fix the stuff that we need. We've been waiting 4 years. How much has the price gone up in 4 years, Mr. Kirk? And the government has to go through processes, and everything is going up right now because they're charging more for minimum wage and stuff. So you got to look at all that too. And they need that balcony fixed so it's safe, and so the people you're serving out there is okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so any additional public comment on this item? None, I'll bring it back to the board looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Can I ask a question first?
Yes, please go ahead, Supervisor Huff.
How much longer would it take if we took Supervisor Kirk up on his suggestion in terms of time?
Michael's going to speak to this. Hold on one moment.
Well, in the event that an informal renders cost more than the threshold, we would be coming back to have plans and specs and authority for public bidding. The likelihood that this is under the 199 is still pretty high, so we would be done with the process then. So we would come back with a contract recommendation after we issue the invitation for bids, if you approve this today. So probably months in delay, but likely this would be the necessary step for us today anyway.
Supervisor Goldenberg, I just want to clarify, no matter what, we will be issuing a formal bid. We have to issue a formal bid. Anything over my signing authority goes out to formal bids. Just to make sure what he's doing, he and Mo are just ensuring that in the event it should come in over the 200 or the 199, that they've already had you approve the bid package and the specifications. So this is just crossing all the T's and the I's so that they can move forward no matter what.
And informal bidding doesn't, still includes prevailing wage, so it doesn't make it more competitive that way.
Okay. Supervisor Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. And kind of going off of that was kind of my understanding too, is that there would be a bid process to follow this. But going to Supervisor Kirk's point, I absolutely understand the frustration in the community when they see their government spending or looking at a bid this high for a deck. And, you know, most of us have either had a deck built or built it ourselves, and it doesn't cost that much. But the way I see it is that we are playing the game the legislature has created. We are not, if we could use these funds in a way that we felt was more responsible as a county, we certainly would. It would go into roads, it would go into law enforcement, fire. It was just restricted to behavioral health. There are probably other areas that we could spend the money that would be more impactful. But unfortunately, we are bound by the restrictions of type of funding, and those restrictions include has to be ADA accessible, we have to pay prevailing wage, it has to be of a minimum standard of construction that's much higher than project. And so all of those things, which are not county directives, are state directives, are conspiring to balloon the cost of this. And so going to Supervisor Brandon's point, I don't want the county to have to shoulder that burden. If the state's putting money out there to pay for those added costs of the state's own, then I say that's the game that they've created, and so we'll play that game. And yes, it's wasteful, but it's something that I don't want to see our county suffer because of wasteful policies at the state level. And that's why, you know, I think we go with this plan. I know we're talking kind of at length about a deck, and it seems kind of silly, but I think it's indicative of some of the larger problems that we have coming out of the legislature. And I Supervisor Kirk's position kind of highlighting that. But I think at the end of the day, it's something that our community needs and that building needs, and so we'll play the game that the state laid out.
I think maybe I didn't do a good job, and then we'll end it at this, but I think I'm coming from a different position of negotiating. I feel like if we put it out there off the bat that we could go above 200,000, we one bid or several bids will automatically come in at that. I get the reasoning behind it. The negotiator in me thinks it's just kind of it's a bad foot to start off on, but I appreciate the conversation. You know, when I get numbers in my mind, so let's take a vote, let's move forward, but I appreciate you guys hearing me out.
Okay, very good. The motion by Supervisor Brandon.
Moved again.
Okay.
I'll second, Chair.
And second by Supervisor Campbell, and we'll go roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Goldenberg?
Aye.
Aye.
Supervisor Kirk?
No.
Supervisor Half?
Aye.
Supervisor Brandon?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-1 with Supervisor voting no. So at this point, what we're going to do is the board is going to go into closed session. We anticipate that it'll be roughly an hour and a half. So about 11:30, hopefully we'll be back in the boardroom, and that can change a little bit either way. For expect to report out.
We do on one item.
Okay. And should we say which item we're respecting?
On
Item 21. Okay, so noted. And any public comment on closed session?
Supervisor Goldenberg, we need to read the items first.
Okay, I'm sorry. The clerk can please read the items.
Number 21, closed session, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Authority Government Code Section 54956.9D1, Cynthia Casper et al. Versus Tuolumne County et al., Tuolumne County Superior Court, case number CV66165. Item number 22, closed session, conference with legal counsel, litigation, significant exposure to litigation, Authority Government Code Section 54956.9D2, 1 case. Item number 23, as the Air Pollution Control Board, closed session, conference with legal counsel, litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9D3, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Section 54956.9D3, 1 case.
Okay. Apologies for not asking for the reading ahead of time here. So now that they're read, is there any public comment on the closed session items? Okay, seeing none, we will now go into closed session, and like I said, roughly an hour and a half. Thank you. Okay, so we're coming back out of closed session, and first of all, I want to report out on item 21. So the report out is as follows: July 9th, 2024, item 21, closed session. Existing litigation. Supervisor Campbell moved with Supervisor Brandon seconded, and by roll call vote of 5-0, the board approved the county council to defend the county in the matter of Cynthia Casper et al. Versus Tuolumne County et al. Tuolumne County Superior Court case number CV66165, personal injury action arising out of alleged exposure to toxic substances. The board approved submittal of the matter for determination of insurance coverage and tender of defense to PRISM. And the board approved a retainer agreement with Carl Fessenden of the Porter Scott Law Firm to represent the county. And items number 22 and 23, there's nothing to report out on those two items. So we're just waiting right now on a visual to come up on our screens here before we move on the agenda. Please bear with us a moment here, folks. Okay, everyone, just so you're aware, we're going to have to do a little reset to the system to try and get these electronics to agree with us, so it'll be about 5 minutes. We'll be back with you soon. Thank you. All right. So welcome back, everyone, to the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors. July 9th, 2024, continuing our meeting, and we will now move to our 1:30 appointment. And if I could have the clerk please read that appointment.
Appointment 1:30 p.m. Public hearing to review and receive comments on proposed Rule 602 technical analysis and report fees regarding fees for the actual cost of collecting samples, performing analysis, and preparing necessary reports on emissions.
And welcome, Kelly, and you've got a little presentation for us.
Good afternoon, Chairman Goldenberg, members of the board.
Sorry, really quickly, can we just open the public hearing?
Oh, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Opening the public hearing.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, please.
Yes, today I'd like to talk to you about a proposed new rule. The Tuolumne County Air Pollution Control District is proposing to modify the district's rules and regulations. In October of 2022, the district's 20-plus year air pollution control deputy retired. The district had hired a replacement deputy in August of 2022. However, this person quit in February of 2023 due to a better offer at the state. Due to budget constraints in fiscal year 23-24, the deputy position was frozen. The district now has one air pollution control specialist who has been in the air pollution industry for 2 years, and myself, the air pollution control officer. Our air pollution control specialist does not have any engineering experience, nor do I. The district has found it necessary to hire an engineering firm to assist with the technical analysis of proposed projects and to assist with creating permits for said projects, as well as many other engineering needs. Many of the reports that our office needs assistance with are mandated by law. This new fee funds the district's ability to comply with these laws. This new rule reinforces the goal of the district to create a long-term plan of sustainability within the air pollution control district, while providing quality analysis of projects for developers. The proposed rule would read as follows. Rule 602, Technical Analysis and Report Fees. Whenever the Air Pollution Control Officer finds that an analysis of the emissions from any source is necessary to determine the extent and amount of pollutants being discharged into the atmosphere, which cannot be determined by visual observation, he or she may order the collection of samples and an analysis made by qualified personnel. The time required for collecting samples, making the analysis, and preparing the necessary reports shall be charged against the owner or operator of said premises at the actual cost of work performed. Information, circulars, reports, and technical works prepared by the district when requested by government agencies, individuals, or groups may be charged a sum not to exceed the cost or preparation and distribution of such document. The Air Pollution Control District will be accepting comments on this new proposed rule until August 12th at 4:30 p.m. They can be mailed to Tuolumne County Air Pollution Control District at 2 South Green Street, Sonora, California, 95370, or emailed to airpollution@tuolumnecounty.ca.gov. It is recommended your board set a hearing date of August 20th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. to review comments and approve the resolution of adopting Rule 602, Technical Analysis and Report Fees, and authorize the Air Pollution Control Officer to submit said rule to the California Air Resources Board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So looking to the board, I'll start with Supervisor Half. Do you have any questions of staff regarding this item?
No, it seems pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Okay. And to the rest of the board, any questions? Okay, so I will look for public comment. Okay, so I'm not seeing any public comments, so I'll bring it back to the board, and I believe I closed the public hearing at this point. And so now, any further comments on the part of the board before we act on this item? And anything from your end, Supervisor Half? In addition to what you just stated?
I'm ready to move on recommendation.
Okay, so I have a motion by Supervisor Half. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
second by Supervisor Kirk. And we'll look for a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Goldenberg.
Aye.
Supervisor Campbell.
Aye.
Supervisor Kirk.
Aye.
Supervisor Half.
Aye.
Supervisor Brandon.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you, and I appreciate your work on this. All right, so now we will move on to item number 19. If the clerk could please read that item.
Number 19, consideration of approving the solid waste division to allocate up to 100 tons of the county tonnage allowance to the tipping fees for solid waste collected in Tuolumne County homeless encampments and declaring the same as a public benefit and purpose.
So welcome, Solid Waste Director Deborah.
Hi there. Good morning, afternoon rather, Board. Debbie Reagan, your Solid Waste Director. One of the reasons I'm bringing this today is this came about as I've gone through and been reviewing our contracts. And for context, there are two allowances in our contract with Waste Management. The first one is an annual allowance, currently about $155,000 for collection services. And we've moved accounts that were previously paid by departments in the auditor's office onto that allowance to maximize it. Our other allowance that we have is that the county or its designee can dispose of up to 1,000 tons of solid waste at the transfer station every calendar year. This was put in the last contract, was negotiated by my predecessor, and I would like to use this 1,000 tons. So in 2023, we didn't. A few calculations on my part were we disposed of about 100 tons in 2023 between the various self-haul accounts we have, whether it's public works or facilities, some support of some one-time cleanups. What I'm bringing to you today is a request that we allocate up to 100 tons of that to support the work that the Compassion Outreach Collaborative's been doing in our homeless encampments. They've been supporting a program where trash bags are distributed out there. They pick them up a week later, they take them to the transfer station. This is I see it as we keep it clean now or we have to clean it up later. And the day we don't have homeless encampments is the day we don't have this program anymore. So as I mentioned in the board memo, what I'd like to do is have this set as something of a pilot program. We'll run it through December. I can report back to the board on what quantities we're seeing. This is not handling anything that would be considered hazardous, bio-waste, nothing like that. This would be your standard municipal solid waste, rubbish and garbage. The reason that I'm standing in front of you is that some encampments are on public property. Some of them are on private property or public lands not operated by the county. And on advice of legal counsel, I need the finding of a determination of public benefit because it's impossible to identify source when you have a pickup truck full of trash bags going to the transfer station. So that is my request today, is that we allocate 10% of what I have here up to that for this program, see how it goes, and move forward from there. Questions?
All right, so I'll start with Supervisor Half. Do you have questions regarding this item?
Yes. What prompted the combining of public lands and private property where this trash would be collected? I'm not quite following the reasoning there.
Part of it is that encampments tend to move. And the idea is that if it is being collected as generated, that we don't face a future cleanup operation. Also, I would not be operating this program. It would be run by volunteers through that Compassion Outreach Collective. The county's role in this simply is to allow access to that tonnage allowance and cover the dump fees for it. So it's not money coming directly out of pocket from general fund or even my enterprise fund. It reduces the tonnage allowance, but to try and manage the program and say only waste from a county-owned piece of property can go would be difficult, if not impossible, for me to administer.
Thank you.
Okay, additional questions? Supervisor Brandon.
Great, thank you. We'll say first off, I think this is great. First question was, so declaring it a public benefit allows for access to it. I don't necessarily know why 10% has to be set aside, and the concern being if we set 10% aside from board direction and let's say 20 tons is used, then we can't access that 80 tons without additional board direction. So why not declare this use a public benefit and not set a hard cap or allow it to be up to 100 tons?
I actually don't have, I would guess I'd say I'm agnostic on that. I can accept the board's direction. The thought of it was that when I asked how much is going, on a weekly basis from the prior program, it was anywhere from 2 to 12 cubic yards a week. And I was converting that into tonnage. You take it at about 350 pounds, give or take, a cubic yard. And so I converted, that's where the 100 tons came from, was to cap that. The up to, it was my intent with the up to say that we might use less than that.
Well, and I don't think it says up to right now. I think that'd be a good change. It says the use of 100 tons in the recommendation.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry,
you are correct. In my recommendation, it did not say up to.
The requested action says use of up to 100 tons, but apparently
Okay, then that's fine.
the recommendation didn't carry that forward.
I appreciate explaining kind of where the number came from. The second question I wanted to ask about was with the Compassion Outreach Collaborative, that is an ongoing type of trash pickup that's preventative. It's a really great effort. There are other entities, though, one pile at a time, as an example, that goes and does cleanups, not on that type of ongoing preventative approach, but kind of after the fact for abandoned sites. So is it operated, I think this says that groups participating in the Compassion Outreach Collective are the ones that are allowed to access this, not groups performing work like that. And so my understanding of this is that if there was the same circumstances for the cleanup of an encampment that was not through Compassion Outreach, they would not be able to access this funding or this tipping fee.
The way I currently have this written, that is correct. And part of this is that I anticipate a question might come up of what do you do with the other 900 tons? Because year to date, after including the cleanup at the Law and Justice, we've only used about 15 tons of this 1,000. So the question comes up, can we allocate? At board direction, we can allocate where we use that tonnage. I kept this limited to that to have a very clean and clear motion to vote on today with this as a particular program. As far as allocating amount of that tonnage for things that aren't county related, we can, that is certainly possible at board direction. I'd be more than happy to look at that, come back with a number, or if you have a number that you'd like to put in front of me, provide you the analysis of where we could use it.
I should clarify, I only mean that for the same number, not necessarily recommending a change there, that other entities doing very similar work, it's not limited to one organization, it's expanded to the other organizations accessing for the same purpose, the same amount.
If I could maybe interject for a moment here. Supervisor Kirk and I both sit on Solid Waste Committee, and we've discussed this. We've discussed that it's really, we've only used 15 ton when we've got, this whole allotment. So the intent was discussed, this is kind of a pilot, but we open this up in many different areas as applicable that fits the criterion, including, perhaps, and I've had some initial discussions, asking about City of Sonora as an example. Mm-hmm. So we want to use it all, and if we can use it all in trash, we can also use it for green waste pickup if we wanted to fill out our 1,000 tons.
And I agree with the intent, and I think that's where my questions are getting, is to make sure the recommendation of what we officially vote on allows for that broader bid. And I only had a third question that kind of gets to it, because when I was sitting on solid waste, illegal dumping has been a huge concern of mine that kind of came in. It wasn't a big campaign issue in the first time, but it just got tired of seeing all the garbage in the county, and we started cleaning it up. That private-public issue was very prominent in those conversations, and that was the discussion, that the board has the ability to declare it a public benefit, to be able to address it. So similar to that, I know this is talking about waste collected in homeless encampments. The same solution here I would like to see applied to, I guess, illegal dumping. I guess the question is, are we able to do exactly the same thing, where illegal dumping often maybe partially in a public easement, but extend onto some level of private property? Can we categorically apply a public benefit declaration to that type of work from kind of the work of a nonprofit entity, like one pile at a time?
My non-legal opinion would be, yes, we could. Whether we do that with that existing 100 tons or put a separate allocation separately to it.
And we got a legal opinion sneaking up on you.
I was going to say, I'm going to let legal counsel speak to that, because I was crafting this to be very specific to a finding of public benefit for this. Mm-hmm. But let me let Cody speak.
Thank you, Supervisor Brandon, for the question. I think questions like that we could look at on a case-by-case basis, or if we wanted to come back to the board with something more broad related to illegal dumping, that's something we could certainly explore. It wouldn't fit into the agenda item today. The language is pretty limited today, so I don't think there's an adjustment we can make.
Well, and we talked about being able to do it on a case-by-case as it comes up. It's difficult to get a prepared item, come to the board, have to agendize it. The idea being that this is a categorical change, saying we're declaring a public benefit for any projects that fall under this scope for homeless encampments on public or private property, being very similar to illegal dumping. I get that it's not part of this right now, but under that same provision, we could also declare a public benefit right for that issue as well.
Theoretically, yes. I mean, we have to look at it more closely, but yes.
Okay.
And I would suggest that, we look at this one today, that we also seriously consider moving forward, and perhaps one potential way to go about it was to issue our solid waste director authority up to X amount, 100 tons or whatever, for use as other entities apply, to keep from having to bring it back to the board each time. I think that
I would appreciate that. And I think whether it's maybe direction today, which would be nice as a coming item. There was a lot of conversations that year about it, and I'm okay with, I think this, though, I do think it's a good thing. So anyway, I know I'm blending into comments there.
Yeah, I just feel like we're losing sight of the compassion outreach element of it, which I just want to keep focus on that, because I think it's a really good
and I would like to act on this item today, but the other thoughts are there, and I think direction has already just been given by our conversation to look at, for further. Mm-hmm. So other board questions at this point? Supervisor Haft, do you have anything? So I'll look for public comment on this item. Good afternoon.
Hello. So, probably just because I'm feeling a little cranky, I'm kind of opposed to this, but since it's only 10%, I can kind of go along with it. But I personally am getting pretty sick and tired of two particular groups thinking that every benefit should come to them when there are other issues in our county. And I don't think they should be getting everything, and a large amount of money should be thrown at small groups. So my question would be, what's going on in Jamestown? Because there's no trash collection in Jamestown. And there are heaping trash cans with trash everywhere, inside the can, overflowing all over the street. And I guess some very nice soul paid for trash collection in Jamestown, and then he died. So nobody is collecting trash in Jamestown unless someone is choosing to do it on their own. So why would I want to be a business owner in Jamestown and look at crap all over the sidewalk and overflowing trash cans, and then you have vermin and you have bugs and they smell. And I think some of our efforts ought to look at doing a community benefit that would benefit far more people. Thank you.
So I was unaware of that situation. I might look to Supervisor Brandon to maybe see if he could explain that briefly.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Carol summarized that actually very well. A gentleman paid about $3,000 a year very quietly to support the program. The gentleman passed away, and that's left, unfortunately, a vacuum for who would take responsibility, since there's not really an appropriate otherwise district like a CSD or Parks and Rec or anything within the Jamestown area. And that has been a challenge for the promotion club. It's been a challenge for trying to figure out how to pay for that. So that is something that I know we've had conversations about. I would personally love to see a portion of this go to it, but you were correct in that has been a big issue for Jamestown.
Okay, well, appears that's a whole separate issue here, and understand, businesses in Jamestown, but businesses in all other areas of the county are pretty much paying for trash pickup, and they didn't have that apparently because of this donation. Anyways, I think we need to leave that there. Any additional public comment? Okay, so I'll bring it back to the board for additional comments, and I'm sorry, this whole thing was a little bit surprises aspect of it, so I was unaware of the Jamestown situation with the trash, so that's why I was asking. Additional board comments, Supervisor Campbell, do you have anything?
Oh, yeah, I can weigh in. I mean, I was part of the team that negotiated with Waste Management to get that 1,000 tons. And initially, it was 1,000 yards, and a yard is a much smaller amount than a ton, so we were able to get a much larger amount. And part of the purpose for that was, I would say the majority was focused on illegal dumping, county efforts to reduce trash in public right-of-ways. And but part of it was also looking at groups doing some of this work out in the community. I feel very strongly about that this has to have a public benefit. I don't want to see any trash picked up on private property, housing complexes, apartments, people's businesses. There has to be some limit where there's responsibility amongst the property owner to remove the trash on their own land. But something like what Compassion Outreach is doing, there is a possibility that somebody is going to be picking up trash that's on private property, but there's also going to be trash coming out of waterways and off roadsides and out of business districts. And so to me, the risk of public resources going to private industry or private individuals is fairly low. Because the whole framework of how this is designed is to have people walk up and down the streets and pick up trash and dispose of it, which I think is an absolutely wonderful effort and is exactly in keeping with, I think, the mission of solid waste. And so I support this. I think this is exactly what the 1,000-ton allowance was designed for, and why it was put in the contract in the first place. Was a portion of it was for the endeavors just like this.
Supervisor Kirk.
Yeah, I think Supervisor Campbell said 90% of what I was thinking. I think I'll just add, again, this is a pilot program. This was allocated in the contract, but it didn't come to fruition until this year. So thank you for bringing it up. The Jamestown issue, I'm scratching my head because that sounds like an issue, like you said, with the businesses and the residents. I don't know. I need to find out more information. But this is a pilot project to make sure things are accounted for properly and that it's not being abused, and then let it get up and running. And then we can look at expanding it. But we got to start somewhere. And you're an expert in this, so we took your advice and we discussed it, and we'll see how fast we go through it. Maybe we'll be back to the board sooner than later, but we're going to get going on it.
So Supervisor Brandon, I understand you have an additional comment regarding public benefit in Jamestown.
I do, thank you. I just wanted to clarify with that, that individual businesses in Jamestown do have their own contracts with waste management. We're talking specifically about Main Street trash cans and dumpsters, which are publicly accessible, which are not directly tied to one business. That was what was paid for with the $3,000. And so the trash cans that are overfilling are really public benefit trash cans. In other areas, some of these services are taken on by different public entities. I believe Twain Hart is one example where the homeowners and business association does take on, I think, that fee. But in other ones, there was different types of districts. In Columbia, it's the state park. In, I think, Groveland, it was GCSD. I'm pretty sure with some of those things. So only wanted to clarify that. I'm getting a no from Supervisor Half, so maybe that's not correct. I'll double check. On to the item here, I do think it's a great idea. We spent a year talking about this related to, I think, illegal dumping. That also blended into the discussions. So I was sad to see that when I was on the Solid Waste Committee, that was not able to come forward up to the board. I'm happy to see this there, but the issue about responsibility, I think, is a very relevant one. But a property owner accumulating waste on their property for their own fault is very different than having a place like on Big Hill where people throwing it over the side, it rolls out of the public easement onto private property. This happened in a number of places where it was not simply illegal dumping, or sorry, homeless encampments, but it was also illegal dumping on private land. So I think trying to be neutral, that we are allocating these for public benefit to a certain type of activity that's a public benefit, but not trying to be specific to only one organization, and also that if it is not the property owner's fault for some type of illegal action happening, whether that is trespassing, littering, or illegal dumping, that this is able to be utilized for it makes a lot of sense, in particular with the context that we have a lot of ceiling room within that 1,000 tons. It's a great asset, but we're underutilizing it. So we're not at a point of having to prioritize those activities. If we're able to go help people for something they didn't cause, that's combating something that's illegal, that I know our board has made a priority, to me that makes a lot of sense. So I'm fine with moving forward with this. I would like to add, as a call-friendly amendment, making the recommendation as well as the kind of requested action align with the up to language, just so we're not stuck into 100 is lockboxed away. But that's, I would like to see have coming back for illegal dumping. We spent a lot of time talking about the public-private issue, and this is exactly what I wanted to come forward on that. I think that would be a really great way to continue utilizing some of that, and it's very much in the same spirit of it. So,
okay, Supervisor Half, do you have additional?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have a different perspective. I do believe in accountability, and I don't think it's too much to ask that these groups, the Compassionate Consortium, when they do their dumping, they get a receipt for it, and then they fill out a small form saying what areas did they collect from. And that's together, those two things are turned into whoever the board thinks should, that information should be turned into. I think we have to have some accountability. Thank you.
If I may, one of the processes that we've used when we've done on the one-time cleanups is what I intend to put here as well for the accountability. All the weight tickets will come back to the solid waste division because we still get an invoice that's zeroed out. I need to track against that 1,000 tons. And the only way I can see the types of material that are being brought in and the quantity is that as those tickets are generated, they can be scanned or even pictures, cam scanned into me and reconciled against our dumping. Because the account I use for this also picks up other illegal disposal actions when Public Works picks up things on county roadside. So I track that independently. And as far as location, that's also something we've done in the past. When we pick up, we get an idea of the rough location where it's at, because that helps me pinpoint repeat dump sites and hot spots. So yes, I hope that addresses your concern about accountability for this.
So we are planning on doing both then, having the receipt from the dump being paired with the locations that picked up from that time. They're paired together, so we have an accounting of that?
Yes, although the way this particular program works, there may be multiple sites that are picked up within, say, a pickup truckload or a trailer. But those locations can be roughly marked as far as, picked up from these 2 or 3 locations. Right now, I believe they're servicing about 3 locations.
So I would take it when they get their tag from Waste Management that whoever the party is doing the collection would then roughly handwrite on the tag where it was from and turn it into you.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
All right. Okay, that makes sense. All right. So I'll close it out here. I'm personally in favor of this. I would like to see whatever efforts that we can do to expand it, to use every bit of that 1,000 tons that we can figure out, and I'm sure that we can figure out lots of ways. Supervisor Brandon made a recommendation, a little clerical cleanup here on the recommendation up to 100 tons. I think we can do that. County Council, correct me if I'm wrong, today as part of this and moving forward?
Yes, I think adding that up to language is consistent with the agenda language.
Good. Yeah, it's in the body, in the lead-in up to 100 tons, so it makes sense. So with that, I'll look for a motion.
Chair, I'll make the motion that the board approve the use of up to 100 tons of county tonnage allowance in the waste management franchise agreement to cover tipping fees for solid waste collected in homeless encampments and part of the program operated by groups participating in the Compassion Outreach Collaborative, and declare the same public benefit and purpose.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Supervisor Campbell, second by Supervisor Brandon, and we'll call for a roll call.
Supervisor Goldenberg.
Aye.
Supervisor Campbell.
Aye.
Supervisor Kirk.
Aye.
Supervisor Half.
Aye.
Supervisor Brandon.
Aye.
Okay, so that concludes that item. So now we will move to our, I believe, last item on our agenda for today, which is item 20. And if the clerk could please read that item.
Item number 20, consideration of waiving the first reading of an ordinance amending the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code Sections 5.1610, 5.1620, and 5.16130 of the county code relating to ambulance services and setting a second reading for adoption on July 23rd, 2024.
And welcome, Dr. Freeman.
Good afternoon. So as you could see in the board memo, this is a revision to an ordinance that has been in place probably at least 30 years. It preceded the mid-90s when Tuolumne County separated from the former JPA that the EMS services were a part of. So the material changes are that it takes away the language identifying the JPA. It adds an air ambulance definition, and it adds an interfacility transport and critical care transport definition. These formerly were not part of it, and has become a huge process of getting patients out of our county to other counties' hospitals. So we want to have that defined, and we want to have a bond and permit process in place for other ambulance entities besides what we already have that may come in and help out with those types of duties. This allows us to have medical control, meaning that in the permitting process, we can have quality control over what's going on and be aware of what's going on. Also provides for a reduced bond at your discretion
for IFT transporting entities because they aren't as needed as far as 911 responses. Their responses are not as time critical. So they have various entities have requested a reduced bond, and this allows for a provision to do so. Minor changes that are also present, we had updated it this morning. I apologize for the delay, but simple nomenclature that has changed since the 90s. For instance, EMT is EMT now, not EMT 1A. Now we call paramedics paramedics, not EMTPs. We refer to our pre-hospital care reports as PCRs, not PCRFs. And in there was under BB, under the definitions, it had Tuolumne County Department of Health Department. So we just want to clean that up to Tuolumne County Health Department. What questions do you have? That's the summary.
Okay, thank you. So start with you again, Supervisor Heff.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, very good. And other board members? Not seeing any takers, so I think we're good on the questions right now, so I'll open it up for public comment. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I just want to say who wrote the memo. That was absolutely fascinating, and the numbers were truly staggering. So I hope the people in our community that want to be knowledgeable actually read this, because I was stunned when I read it. And I hope our media will publicize some of that information, because I thought, oh my God. Anyway, I just thought it was very well done, and I really appreciate having all the numbers. Thank you.
We just want to point out for the public's benefit that your board has the updated revisions from this morning, but we also have a stack at the rear of the room. If the public wants to see those recent changes, that's where that is.
And to clarify, the recent changes were the nomenclature, not the material changes. So identifying EMT as EMT, not EMT 1A, and a couple of those others that I mentioned. Those also will be reflected in the 5.16. That still needs to be updated completely, not just the amendment.
Okay. Just in general, as you're back up here, the part of this is, just the whole purpose is to ensure that, there's a great need for transports, but we also need to ensure that we're providing coverage within the county for our own residents and our visitors. So I think a lot of this ties things together, in agreements with the hospital and Adventist Health. And is that a pretty correct statement there?
Yes, correct. So when we send patients out of county to specialty hospitals that can provide the care that we don't have here from our rural nature, it takes them out of service, out of our 911 response for at least a couple hours, depending on how far they have to go and how long they have to wait when they get there. So this allows the provision of permitting other ambulance companies for facility transports and preserves our 911 system and response times.
Excellent, and that's what we need is the overall package. So, any further comments from the board? I don't see any more. I'm sorry. Any more public comment before I move back to the board? Not seeing any. So, board members, any additional comments? And if not, I'll look for. Let's see. How is this one?
I'll move on
written
staff
here?
recommendation.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Supervisor Brandon, second by Supervisor Campbell. If we can get a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Goldenberg.
Aye.
Supervisor Campbell.
Aye.
Supervisor Kirk.
Aye.
Supervisor Haff.
Aye.
Supervisor Brandon.
Aye.
Okay, so very good. So that concludes the last official item on our agenda. So I'll look to any staff reports coming from staff, anything from our CEO, County Council? Do you have anything?
Just briefly, I wanted to report that on Friday I will be attending the County Council boot camp conference. So that's for all the new attorneys throughout the state, and I'm going to present on the Brown Act. So
And so I hear
hopefully it goes well.
I hear your record precedes you in this area. They're quivering right now as we speak. Anything from our board clerk today? Nothing? Okay. So, reports. Supervisor Haft, do you have anything you would like to report? Report out, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just have one thing. You all remember the board meeting we had last September where we invited PG&E to come and explain the reliability issues we were all experiencing in the county, Groveland, Columbia, and other parts of the county. And from that, a letter was written to them asking them to respond to 3 main areas. And we did get one response as far as, shortening up the circuits so that they were shortened into smaller segments so that when an ESPS event occurs, it could be remedied a lot quicker. So sometime last year, PG&E did employ a new technology called Scope, and I think that has helped. But for the other 2 items that we asked them about, one was a request for wrapped covered wires, and one was to make the microgrid in Groveland operable because it was intended originally for PSPS events that we don't have anymore. Anyway, come along to this month, or excuse me, in June, and we were getting close to the July 4th holiday weekend again, and that's when that big fiasco happened in Groveland where it was crazy and the power was off more than it was on, sometimes off 23 hours, on maybe 1 hour. And we had not gotten anything in writing to date from PG&E as to what they were going to do. So I took it on myself as a single board member to follow up on that full board letter because we hadn't gotten any response from them, asking them for a response on the 2 other items in writing. And I gave them a week. And considering the extreme weather we've been having, the heat, and other factors, which I won't go into right now, they asked for an extension, and I gave them until July 12th. So at our next board meeting, if not before, actually, now that I'm mentioning this in the reports, I will send out my letter that I sent to PG&E and the CPUC, by the way, to our CAO so she can send it out to all board members so they can see exactly what I wrote. And then when we get the response, I should be able to send that out again so that everybody can get the benefit of what their response was. So that's my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Kirk.
A few things. I went to the K-9 fundraiser dinner. I think it was last Saturday. I believe 2 other supervisors were there. It was a great event to support our sheriff's office and specifically their dogs. I went to a Strawberry Homeowners Association meeting the other week and also stopped by Tweenheart on my way down. Lots of people are engaged, and so that was fun to go to. Been keeping track on the shearing fire. My concern, you guys all know I've been pretty vocal about put the fires out right off the bat. This one, I still had the same sentiments, but it was interesting. This one was a little different just because where the shearing fire was burned within the footprint of the rim fire, and then was also butting up against, what's the name of the fire that we had by Doddridge, Pinecrest? I'm drawing a blank. Anyways, so I talked to Ben from U.S. Forest Service, and again, I'd rather put them out, but it did its part. They had some good dozer lines with 3N01, and then the rim fire footprint, so they were able to do a good containment and utilize the burn for, I guess to help mitigate that area. So I'm glad that one's coming to an end. There was a siren test, again, with the outdoor audible alert sirens that have been installed in the community, worked out the bugs, and so those should be smooth, hopefully more smooth sailing moving forward. It's been a couple of years since they operated because we were waiting on the MOUs to get completed. Those are done. So it's good to see those up and running. I got some feedback from people in the community. And then the last thing I want to bring up, I just kind of want to bring to the board's attention, and half this will be news for you, but I want to, in the near future, I want to bring something to the NRC committee and then eventually try and collaborate with the U.S. Forest Service and get our board involved. But up north, and this is already happening, which is why I'm feeling cool about it, but up north, there a lot of these trails that people backpack and they do things up in the U.S. Forest Service. When there's fires up there, the U.S. Forest Service was going in and kind of blowing those out, the trees, using those to fight fires, but then instead of just letting them go, the communities are maintaining them after the fact, using them for bike riding, using them just for some play. And the whole point of it is that, as we all know, the U.S. Forest Service, I think they have 2 people working in a $200,000 budget to maintain some of our trails and roads up here, which basically at the end of the day, they're just being shut down and not being used, and gates going up and they're disappearing. Well, this might be a way for us to get some of those roads back open in the future, maintain them. And then the main thing, the reason why it's so important is because now those are fuel breaks for firefighters. So if we do get something kick off, like I don't know if you guys know, but Mount Provo had a little fire kickoff over the weekend. If we had trails that were maintained throughout our community, it would be quick access to continue to do good things and prevent fires. So I'm going to be working on that half, bring it to the NRC, but I'm going through all the reports and a lot of good ideas. But when you see a good idea that's actually being done, then it's more hopeful to maybe get accomplished more locally. So that's it.
Supervisor Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. Ditto what some of the things that Supervisor Half said. So Phoenix Lake Country Club Estates is in my district. They have had since June, I'm trying to add it up exactly, but they've had about 14 outages since June 1st. I live near that area. Sometimes I'm affected by those outages, sometimes I'm not, but roughly 1,500 people affected every time the power goes out there. Sometimes it's up south, sometimes it's south of there, sometimes it's north of there, but always that community is affected no matter what. It's just a really difficult situation. Obviously, I get a lot of calls about it, and I don't know. It's just extremely frustrating, and I am not an electrician. I'm not a person that has deep knowledge of infrastructure like that, but there has to be, in 2024, there has to be some kind of solution to providing a basic electrical services to these communities. You know, we're not talking about communities that are out in the forest, you know, on top of a mountain somewhere or on an island. We're talking about communities that are, you know, just 5 miles outside of town. So I've been really busy on the weekends, so I added it up. I've been to one or more community events every weekend since mid-May. So that's been great. I'll just give you kind of a few. Cedar Ridge had their annual barbecue. Phoenix Lake Country Club Estates had their homeowners meeting, and guess what the topic of the discussion was there? They are actually trying to build a vineyard out there, which I think is something really good economically for our community. Also had the Soulsbyville Economic Forum, and I can report that the Willow Springs Market, which has sat vacant for since like 2009, I think, 8, somewhere in there, is going to be opening soon. In fact, last I heard, they're stocking the shelves as we speak. They're going to do a soft opening probably starting next week or week after. With these kind of things, you never quite have a solid date, but it's very soon. So very excited for that. That's an area that has no real grocery stores except for, you know, the Dollar General out there. So it'd be nice for the people to have other options. Supervisor Kirk mentioned the Sheriff's K-9 event, which is basically all of the revenue for the K-9 unit comes from that fundraiser. So very, very important fundraiser for our community, and support them a lot. Met with Tuolumne County Association of Realtors, attended the fly-in, which I have every single year that it's been held. There have been a couple of hiccups in the road, but every year that has been done in our community, I've gone to the fly-in, and this year was no different. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was something I brought up here earlier related to the Supreme Court decision on the grants pass and by extension the Boise case. Supreme Court did overturn that. It was sent back to a lower court, and now I guess we're going to hear how that decision will be retooled. Some of the discussion today about the safe parking site that the county is going forward with, I don't think it's been a secret. I've had some misgivings about that. I think that if the county is going to sanction efforts for our unhoused population, it needs to be at some kind of minimum standard, and I just the safe parking sites I don't think are at that minimum standard. It's a bit of a slippery slope where, you know, if we have a safe parking site, it gets people out of some of these encampments, and that's great. But then what happens 2 years from now? People start seeing that there's a county-sanctioned encampment, and what are we going to do with these people? I just don't see any real positive end for the county, for the unhoused population. It just seems to create more strife in the community. I don't know where I'm going with that, but I know that there are changes in the law, and so we should take those into consideration too. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Brendan.
Sure, thank you. I was very excited after a conversation with our PG&E rep to be able to invite them to come present to one of the board meetings and have that coming up. One of the things I'm hoping to get an update on is working with that team. We collectively applied for a GRIP grant. I believe you signed the letter of support there as chair to go for a $100 million Department of Energy grant in resilient grid infrastructure. I think our community is in a perfect spot for that. They happen to have a bespoke team at PG&E that works on these grants. With any luck, that funding coming in will address a lot of the issues, but I did want to recognize that after the severe outages last year in Columbia, we had a 2-month period with 30 outages. It's actually been a lot better this year. I think part of the problem is it was a no-fault outage, so they didn't know exactly what it was. They had to rebuild a lot of that system, and it's been substantially more reliable. So very much looking forward to that. Only wanted to reply that continuing with the California Jobs First Economic Development Initiative, Supervisor Kirk, your comments are very similar to, I think, some of the goals of that program as well for the 7-county area. So I think it would find a lot of alignment. And traditionally, I think Tuolumne County is a leader within the region on a lot of these issues, so very appropriate. I had the opportunity to go speak to a bunch of teachers up at Old Oak Ranch on forestry on a panel with SPI and the U.S. Forest Service. Talk about kind of what that looks like locally. It was a great discussion, really good food too afterwards, so I enjoyed that. And similarly, a lot of events, 4th of July in Columbia, a lot of preparation for that. We also had the, I think, 3rd iteration of the Jamestown Bazaar, 1st and 3rd Fridays. That's been really nice out there, as well as a few other events. Then one of the things that's been on my mind is looking at from our various economic development and job training authorities, trying to implement some form of plan for a rapid response to where we have Main Street areas that may be losing cornerstone businesses, similar to, I think, the marketplace up there. There's been a couple of shops, Michelangelo's. You can always tell, you know, when somebody lived in Jamestown based on what business they've got in mind there. But Michelangelo's and the Willow Steakhouse that I think are coming up on 6 and 7 years now being vacant. It's a very challenging case that has an impact on the entire town. And what can we do in an organized way with this kind of community lens on economic development to do targeted solutions for training, workforce development? That's been combined with some conversations between the Chamber, the Valley Sierra SBDC, Mudlow Job Training, and the CSEDD with Alex Bloom, our new economic development staff person for the region, to see where we can find synergy in a lot of those efforts. I have joined the Valley Sierra SBDC Advisory Board as one of the 2 representatives. That's for Stanislaus and Tuolumne County. I know that there is a intent to try and bring more programming up to us as kind of a smaller partner in that district, and then see what we can do to partner with the other ones around us as well. So I'm looking forward to being able to continue doing that. And we've got had our annual regional meeting that I was able to sit in on. Other than that, just a bunch of stuff. Not particularly looking forward to Florida and the heat and the humidity, but appreciate the opportunity to be able to go represent us a couple days at NACO in Tampa. So that's going to be coming up for my next week. I have to check. It looks like with my itinerary right now, I may not be able to make the next meeting, but I'll look at that. So just as a heads up right now.
Okay, very good. And do keep us informed on that. Just with the situation with Supervisor Hath, that we want to make sure we've got a quorum. So the other board members, please take note as well. So myself, normal meetings, lots of stuff always going on. And talking about power outages, Supervisor Campbell talked about that section of his district that does cross over right across the way into portions of my district. Sometimes it expands a little bit further to the west, sometimes not. It's doesn't seem to have any true sense to it. Trying to sort it out. I did have a good call with Nathan Alonso, our PG&E rep, as well. We talked about that issue. We talked about the upcoming hardening efforts, whether they be underground or above ground, doing various coated lines and other protections. Undergrounding, there's a lot to be said for that, but also we're in a terribly tough countryside to do that with all the rocks and everything underground. Is not necessarily easy. Plus, it's about 1/10 of the cost to do overhead versus undergrounding. But there's pitfalls to each one of them. Some different things. So they're moving forward on their plans, and hopefully that'll we'll see more efforts here. Didn't make the fly-in. I was still holding out for the P-51. Didn't arrive. But I was involved in some, got a lot of project work going on at my own house right now. So I would have much rather have been at the fly-in than home working that day. Homeless side, working on a lot of different stuff. Michael Roberson, he's transitioning, obviously to his new position. He's still very well involved with homeless, especially from capital perspective and housing. And one area that he's working on with kind of subgroups, people from within our homeless committee and not, is looking at trying to pair up people in a single home. So if a single home had perhaps 3 or 4 bedrooms and there's one person in there, perhaps an elderly person that, their loved one passed along, maybe we could look at trying to, pair up people, because people are still being driven out and will continue to be until we get a resolve to this fire insurance crisis, because it, and it's not just homeowners policies now. Auto policies are going up tremendously in California as well. That's a whole separate issue, but they're the insurance companies. I don't see them being our friends very often. And the last item was glad to hear about Willow Springs Market. Are they gonna do any wholesale meat stuff again? Do you know by any chance?
They're gonna have a deli, a small restaurant. They're serving, I believe they're serving beer, not hard liquor, and then the rest of it is kind of a mini Whole Foods grocery store.
Sounds excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for that community, good for the county.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, I don't have anything further, so we will adjourn our meeting at 2:29. Thank you, everyone, for attending.